Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I know a few more are probably coming in, and if they can hear me, please feel free to do so and take a seat in the back of the room or in the front of the room. We actually have some seats up here too. We're delighted to have all of you here. Thank you so much for being with us, and good morning, and welcome to the 8th Annual and 12th Speaker of the Eric Hilton Distinguished Chair Alumni Series. My name is Clint Rapole, and I am pleased to let you know I've been here 35 years at the Conrad and Hilton College of Hotel and Restaurant Management at the University of Houston. I am a professor emeritus. The E stands to go. Emeritus stands for deserves, and you put those two together and it means you deserve to go. So hopefully all of you will be deserving to go when you get ready to graduate. We have an informal session this afternoon I'd like to plug very briefly. And that informal session is in Barron's from 2 to 3:30. And I know you'll remember it well, but I'll give you 30 seconds to write that down. 2 to 3:30 in Barron's. And it would give you an opportunity to meet Mary Beth Moehring up close and personal rather than from a distance as you will this morning. So feel free to come in early and leave late, or feel free to come in late and leave early, which you often do in classes anyway. But refreshments will be available, and obviously she would be delighted to see you. I would like to thank Wendy Gary, who is not with us this morning, but she works very hard in putting all of this together. Shannon Burnett, I believe, is in the room, and Jennifer Potts, a graduate student. They've done an outstanding job, and thank you so much for assisting us with this. I would like to recognize at least 4 people, maybe a couple more, but there are 4 members of Eric's Distinguished Alumni Club that are with us today, and 2 have come from very long distances, such as Houston, Texas. Mr. Nick Massad, and he also brings his lovely wife, Vicki. You can stand too. The other one that came from such a long distance is Ms. Nicholson. Ms. Nicholson. Mr. Mass is number 5. Ms. Nicholson is number 7. And then we have 2 gentlemen that did come quite a ways. Mr. Greg Rocket, on Monday when I emailed him about joining us for breakfast this morning, he blackberried me back, and he was in Trinidad. So he came all the way from Trinidad, but he also stopped in Miami on the way. Mr. Greg Rocket, thank you for being with us. And of course, Mr. Marty Breverman from California. Thank you for being with us. We have another alumnus president, and that's Ms. Carol White. And Carol White is president of our Alumni Association. Thank you for being with us. And at this time, what I would like to do is turn the program over to Mr. Nick Massad, 1973 graduate, president and CEO of American Liberty Hospitality, father of 3 graduates of this college, and of course the mother is here too. The Master of Ceremonies for Gourmet Night 2007, and Chairman of Eric's Club, Mr. Nick Massad.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And Marty Breverman is actually older than me, so. We did graduate together. Can you imagine that? This college is so close and tight that people who graduated in 1973 are still very good friends and see each other all the time, and you'll do the same thing. This is a very distinction about this college, a great distinction. So what a great day this is today. It's wonderful to see all of you. You look great. You look like professionals. Every year this crowd gets bigger and better looking, so give yourself a hand. I want to tell you a little bit about endowed chairs here in the college. It's a very, very important facet of our college, and I want to just spend about 5 minutes telling you about endowed chairs and how important that is to the college. In 1982, As most of you know, our college was the recipient of a $21 million grant from the Hilton Foundation. That's what really kicked things off for us. This was the foundation set up by the founder of Hilton Hotels Corporation, Conrad Hilton. That money was given over a 10-year period, and many things were provided by that grant, including 4 endowments. These 4 endowed chairs were the Conrad Hilton Endowed Chair, which is currently held by Dr. Ron Nykiel, the Baron Hilton Endowed Chair, current holders Dean John Bowen, the Eric Hilton Endowed Chair, the very first recipient of which was Dr. Clinton Rappold, and the Don Hubbs Professorship, which is held by Dr. Stowe Shoemaker. The college has also had recent success with adding endowed chairs to the college. And 2 additional endowments have been made. One is the Charitable Foundation Professorship, which is provided by SPECS, and that is held by Jana Abbott. And the 6th is the Clinton L. Rappold Endowed Chair. The initial funding for that was provided by one of our alumni, Miss Dorothy Nicholson, who's here today. Thank you, Dorothy. This was a real milestone for the college, where an alumni, starts an endowed chair in the name of one of our dear professors that we've all learned so much from over his 35-year career with the college. That endowment is now, with the Hilton Foundation matches and other funds, over $500,000 and heading rapidly to $1 million endowment. This is just incredible. Couldn't have been imagined even 10 years ago. So what do these endowed chairs do for the college? First and foremost, an endowed chair assists the college in recruiting the most outstanding faculty. Without that, your education doesn't have a lot of value. So you get the best faculty. It provides opportunities to develop a standard of excellence that can only be achieved, that can't be achieved with just credit hour generation and the normal revenues and state funds that the college takes in. So this is additional money where we can make this college excel. It's also a way of keeping score with other colleges, other hotel colleges, as far as our ranking, the number of endowed chairs, the size of those chairs. So it's really, really important. It can also provide salary and benefits, secretarial assistance, travel money, and even graduate assistance to the professors that are here. So if managed well, and I think all the endowments here are managed very well, these endowments can continue to grow. People can contribute to them, make them larger, and they really serve a great purpose. I mention all of this just to make you aware at this level, you're not at a point where you can contribute to one or start one yourself, but at some point you may be, and it's very, very important, so we want you to know about it. It's also important that we receive new endowed chairs over the years, and you may very well be in a position to have influence over that, either to start one yourself or to influence a company that perhaps you're working for to start an endowed chair here in the name of that company. And it's our responsibility, and it's also an opportunity to help your alma mater remain the outstanding College of Hotel and Restaurant Management in the world. So with that, I want you to think about it, make it one of your personal goals for the future to try to contribute. And with that preface about endowed chairs, I would like to now introduce Mr. Greg Rockett. Mr. Rockett was our 11th Eric Hilton Distinguished Alumni Lecturer. He is currently Vice President of Development for Latin and the Caribbean for Hilton Hotels Corporation. And today he's going to come up and introduce our 12th Eric Hilton Lecturer, Miss Mary Beth Moehring. Greg?
Good morning. Wow, the only time I ever get to speak to a full house is here. I wonder what that's all about. But, It's a great privilege to be back here at the Hilton College. I was here in November to participate in this event. Very pleased to be doing so again today at Dr. Rapol's invitation to be the first member of Eric's Club to introduce another inductee. It's even more exciting to have the opportunity to do so with somebody that's so admirable like Mary Beth Moehring. There's so much to admire about Mary Beth and her career. For one, she is a mover and shaker in one of the most fundamental businesses that makes up part of the hospitality industry. Think about how many millions of meals are prepared every day using SYSCO products. Also admirable is that she stuck with the same company for 27 years. You don't see that very often. And she's from Baltimore. I've had a personal high regard for people from Baltimore all my life. See, I grew up in Philadelphia. And, okay, I'm not going there, but in the 1960s and 1970s, my parents used to drive us from Philadelphia by car, which on Route 1, because there was no I-95, was a bit difficult, and we always had to go through Baltimore. And inevitably, going through the city limits, my mom would be screeching, "Lock the doors, roll up the windows." And, you know, I always wondered why that was. I used to think growing up, God, those people from Baltimore are pretty tough. And you'd have to be tough to keep at it with a fledgling company for 27 years, growing a business from 1 billion to 33 billion over that period. That's pretty amazing. All the while, Mary Beth has stayed committed to the Hilton College and to Houston. She participates in Gourmet Night every year. Dr. Rapol says forever. She also takes a lot of pride in staying in touch with fellow alumni. It's very important to her. And I think that this commitment to the Hilton College is actually a fundamental importance to Eric's Club and why we are so privileged to have a constituent like Mary Beth with us today. Before she takes center stage, I just want to tell you a couple of things I learned about her over the last week in talking with her on the phone. We hadn't met before. We met for the first time today, but I've been very excited to have this opportunity to introduce her and tell you a little bit about her. She's clearly enthusiastic about working for SYSCO. Obviously, you would be to stick with it for 27 years, but you know, she exudes enthusiasm over this company. She also enjoys traveling, hiking, cooking with her husband of 23 years, Bill, who's also with us today. And by her own admission, Mary Beth is also a big foodie, and I can relate to that. She loves the diverse gastronomy of Houston and voraciously partakes in it whenever possible. This is lucky for SYSCO because I doubt you'd be with the company for 27 years if you were a lactose intolerant vegetarian. Reflecting on all of this, I guess her love of food must come from her Baltimore upbringing. You see, Baltimore is the home of the McCormick Spice Company. I don't know how many people knew that, but back in the 60s and 70s, it was a principal industry in downtown Baltimore. And I guess when you grow up with the aroma of oregano and thyme and cinnamon and all those other spices permeating your existence, you must be conditioned to be loving food for life. So enough kidding around, and there really couldn't be enough introduction for Mary Beth, but I want you all to welcome her and listen to what she has to say.
To tell you folks, this is an absolute thrill and privilege for myself to have the opportunity to come back and just basically spend probably about 30 or 40 minutes with you. To what Clint Rapol so graciously asked me to do was share a few tips of wisdom. And as I reflected upon his request, I have to tell you, when I was sitting in your shoes, I thought I knew everything. So I was trying to figure out what might you all be interested in. So, you know, as I was thinking about that, and I was talking a little bit with Clint over the phone and trying to kind of reflect upon my career and some of the things that have helped me along my journey, as well as some of the things, quite honestly, that have gotten in my way and been incredible roadblocks and obstacles to overcome. I kind of came to the conclusion, particularly with an incredibly diverse audience like we have here today, there's probably not one tip I can share with any of you that would resonate and sit home with you to kind of give you some thoughts as you're planning your future and you're moving out into the business world. So what I thought I would do is cover a number of different areas. And to do that, what I hope to do is really talk about two things. Number one, talk about SYSCO. And I'm not here to sell you on SYSCO, although obviously after 27 years, I think it's a pretty cool company. I definitely would not have stayed with them over 27 years if it wasn't. But at the same time, I know most of you are thinking about a lot of other different careers in the hospitality industry. But I do want to tell you a little bit about it, so potentially we've got the ability to be partners somehow in the future, but also to provide a contextual framework for some of my, for lack of a better word, keys to success. Because as I look back and kind of reflect upon and identify what for me have been some keys to success, a lot of it has been the industry in which I operate. That being food service distribution, but recognizing there's a broader industry called hospitality within which my company not only resides, but really depends upon and services. So I'm going to talk a little bit about SYSCO, and I'll try to keep that rather short and not make it too much of a marketing spiel. A little bit about my journey, how I got from Baltimore. Yes, Baltimore, what Greg said was absolutely true. When I grew up in Baltimore, I started off, well, hold back on that, but Baltimore is quite an interesting, and many people wonder, how did you get from Baltimore to Houston and then Houston to SYSCO? So I'll tell a little bit about that journey, and then I'll share with you what I consider to be 3 keys to success. I mean, I don't know that they're the answers and wisdoms, and certainly there's tremendous volume of leaders out there that write incredible books and essays around keys to success, and I'm not so sure that we can even think about doing all those things. So I'll just share, for whatever it's worth, a couple that maybe 1 or 2 of them might resonate with you. So with that, how many people have heard of SYSCO? Oh, all right, I like it. I like it. How many of you have worked in a restaurant where SYSCO was servicing or selling the restaurant or hotel? Even better. Okay, a couple more could go up. Cool. Okay, well, we used to have a marketing slogan because we used to have this marketing slogan saying, we're on the lips of America, but nobody knows us. Because we're kind of that behind the scenes kind of an operator. We're not front and center. But now that we've got the largest, privately owned fleet, more and more people are at least familiar with us from our truck perspective. So let me talk a little bit about SYSCO, what we do, and a little bit about my story from Baltimore to U of H to SYSCO. So let me just start about what we do. I mean, I know probably the typical answer people would say is what we do is we ship groceries. Well, yeah, we do that. But in fact, we as an organization have a lot bigger vision of what it is our company is all about. Our vision is to be the global leader in an efficient, multi-temperature food value product chain. So literally from farm to fork, globally, refrigerated and dry, that's the space we like to operate in. Right now, I'll show you a map a little bit later. I don't say we're global because we're North America, but nobody really owns that international space, so that's a space we're quickly moving to. What's our strategy? Our strategy is to provide the lowest total procurement cost for our customers. And I get a little defensive on this stuff because somebody always say, well, you can go next door and you can buy a cheaper product. Yeah, you can. You will always be able to find cheaper products. Our goal is not to be the cheapest on every single price, but rather provide our customers the lowest total procurement cost. I'm sure you've gone through classes here where they've taught you about purchasing. Every time that door opens and it closes, costs you money. So what we try to do is provide our customers the best overall value in providing them their food service supply needs. And what's our mission? Our mission is to help our customers succeed. I mean, we believe that the food service industry is an incredibly challenging and difficult industry. My hunch is every single one of you somehow in the last couple of years have been working in the hospitality industry. And it is not easy. It is incredibly challenging. The demands that are placed upon the hospitality industry are second to none. Not only are you typically working when everybody else is playing, but the unrealistic expectations people have are absolutely overwhelming. So our mission as a company is to partner with our customers to help them be successful, to help be a partner in their business, whether not just to provide them, cost-effective products that they can sell on their menu, but to help to partner with them in the design of their menus, look at labor-saving ideas, look at more cost-effective ways to service their customers, help to increase the menu check average. So those are things that as we look as a company, yeah, our sales force sells products. More importantly than selling products is that our view is it's our job is to help our customers succeed, particularly the independent restaurant entrepreneurs. I think the independents are, particularly in Houston, it's a phenomenal entrepreneurial market, but at the same time, the independents are a little bit of a competitive disadvantage than some of the large multi-unit chains, because the large multi-unit chains have the power of a large organization where they can bring efficiencies to their restaurants that perhaps, an independent can't. So that's our mission, is to help our customers succeed. The market is absolutely enormous. You are entering into one of the biggest industries that people really, quite honestly, aren't that aware of. But the total market, and for us, we're looking at the North America market, is literally over $200 billion. That is a lot of product that's going out the door. And if you've probably seen some of these charts over the years, for about the last 20 years, the away-from-home eating market has been growing while the retail market has been declining. In the last couple years, that's kind of been averaging out. So depending upon what statistic you're looking at, about 50% of the dollars spent on food are retail, and the other part are our industry, the hospitality industry. So it's a huge market. And as big as it is, yes, SYSCO is the #1 food service marketer and distributor. We have been the industry leader since 1977. One of the most challenging things for me personally, working for the last 27 years for SYSCO, is we never are satisfied with what we did yesterday. It's almost sometimes gets to the point that you're like, oh my gosh, could we just sit back and just breathe a little bit and say, hey, nice job, before we move on to the next year? And to be quite honest, I think that's one of the reasons why we've maintained a competitive advantage, is we don't look back. Okay, that was yesterday. We need to be focused on tomorrow. What do our customers need from us tomorrow? Again, I mentioned it's a $200 billion industry. We're a Fortune 100 company. We're about number 60. We last year did $32 billion worth of sales in North America. We have 170 locations throughout the U.S. and Canada. We do some international work, but that's a small piece of our business. We have 390,000 customers. An average distribution center will have 5,000 to 7,000 customers that they serve. We inventory and market over 300,000 products. For me, that's a little bit too many because there's a tremendous cost associated with having that volume of products. But a typical distribution center will inventory and market anywhere between 10,000 and 15,000 line items. That's a lot of product. Anybody guess system-wide how many different bottles of water we carry? Just a guess. 30? How about add another 0? Yes. It's and we've got to get better at that, because there's a tremendous cost for us as an organization to buy that product, inventory that product, and ship that product. 300 SKUs. And the reason why we have it is not because we like to have 300 SKUs of water. It's because our customers say they want that one unique brand. Now, we'll always want to be customer-centric and take care of our customers. On the other side of the coin, I don't know what the SKUs are on French fries, but it pales in comparison to water. It's literally thousands of different kinds of French fries that we carry. We have about 40,000 SYSCO brand products. We have the largest sales and marketing organization in our entire industry. We have about 8,000 what we call marketing associates. Those are our salespeople. There's probably another 4,000 to 5,000 sales and marketing support people. And total system-wide, we had 48,000 associates. So we're a pretty big company. Just to give you a little bit of an idea, most of our business, and quite honestly, most of our profits come what we call the broadliners. If you're familiar with, or you've had an opportunity to see our distribution center on the east side of town, as a matter of fact, it was right around the corner from that fire that occurred last night at Gellhorn and 610. That is what we call a broadline food service distribution center. I guess they probably do about $500–600 million. They probably have an inventory of about 15,000 different line items, and they literally have, I don't know, a couple hundred salespeople here in the Houston metro area. But that broadliners, we have about 80–90 broadliners throughout North America. That's the bulk of our business. But in addition to our broadliners, we have a whole series of, for lack of a better word, specialty distributors that kind of shore up the food service industry. We've got Sigma, for example. I'm sure most of you have heard of Wendy's. Well, Wendy's doesn't have their own distribution network. We do it for them. But we don't integrate that into our broadliner operations because it's very different, very unique. Sigma operations, we go out, develop a contract with a kind of quick service type of restaurant. We then build the distribution center, and we do nothing but sell to that, whoever the specialty company is through that Sigma operation. We also have specialty cut fresh point operations, marketing produce. We actually do a lot of the cutting and processing. We do the same thing for cut steaks. We've got probably about a dozen different cut steak operations throughout mostly the United States, who not only sell directly to the industry, but they also market and sell through our regular distribution centers. Guest supplies, yes, those are those little amenity packets that you get inside of your hotel rooms, the shampoos, the conditioners, the lotions. We own that company, and they probably have got, I think, about 60–70% market share of that business. Asian foods, which is a new part of our business, which really does nothing but market it to the Asian food restaurant industry. And then lastly, we've got one international food group, which we're looking to pivot and help us get into the broader, more national global market. So that gives you a little bit of idea of some of the, how SYSCO's made up of the businesses. This is what we look like across North America. And again, you can't really see from this map, but we've got a great distribution also in Canada, recognizing that I think the statistic is something like, I don't know, 80–90% of the Canadians are within 100 miles of the U.S. border. So most of that Canadian population is right butted up against the U.S. But that gives you a little bit idea of what we look like nationally. This is the old, we like to show it because this is where our industry has come from, and this is where we are today. These are 3-compartment trucks where we actually have the ability to move walls. I mean, I'm sure through some of your classes you've learned about the importance of sanitation and maintaining the proper temperatures. And I can't tell you how important that is. I mean, you only have to see a restaurant have some kind of food outbreak to realize how important it is that food not only come into your building in a wholesome manner, but it be stored inside of your operations, as well as cooked and prepared and delivered to your customers carefully as well. So we've got a state-of-the-art fleet. This kind of a design of a truck, we actually have movable walls. So inside the truck, we have literally freezer operations, refrigerated operations, as well as dry. So depending upon the loads that are going out that day on that particular truck, and we got about 8,000 of these trucks, they can move the walls around to adjust for our customers' needs. We have the largest private fleet in the United States. We deliver over 1 billion cases. I think we drive something like 158 million miles. So it's absolutely enormous. It's a tremendous market that y'all are in. I mean, it's probably, if not the biggest, one of the biggest industries in the United States. On a typical day, and again, these statistics probably alter depending upon what source you're looking at, but the restaurant industry posts average sales on a daily basis of over $1 billion. I mean, that is absolutely huge. That's $1 billion a day. The nation actually, we have over almost 1 million restaurant locations, which I think is absolutely astounding. We literally provide employment for 12 million people. I mean, I know a lot of folks, particularly when you look at what it takes to execute on a restaurant or a hospital or a country club, I mean, there's a lot of hourly labor there, but that is the backbone of our industry. We need those men and women to help support the industry and to help service our customers. And literally, that addresses about 9% of the U.S. workforce. So the opportunities in our industry, you couldn't be picking a better industry. And I think there's a reason why, we were talking a little bit earlier, it's a reason why the Conrad N. Hilton College is the only college within the university network that literally has its own alumni association. I mean, it's a huge industry we're in. It's also a well-connected industry. Tremendous opportunities are out there. So where does SYSCO fall? And again, we want to be cautious about this because, you know, we are big, but on the other side of the coin, because we're so big, that can also get in our way. our competitors sometimes can do things cheaper than we can do. I mean, our industry, like running a hotel, like running a restaurant, I mean, it's pennies on the dollars. It's not some glamour industry like technology, you know, where they're making 10, 20% on every dollar. I mean, it's pennies on the dollar. Again, we're going to post sales at about $32 billion. Our next largest competitor is U.S. Foods. I don't know how much you know about them, and I want to be careful of not saying anything real inappropriate, but they've gone through some pretty tough trials and tribulations in the last couple years, and they're about to be put on the open market for sale. So my hunch is somebody's going to buy them, and somebody's going to help them get their act together, and they're going to become an increasingly challenging competitor to address. SYSCO's true competitors, though, yeah, we compete with U.S. Foods, but that's not really who our true competitors are. Our true competitors are the mom-pop operations, the little fish operation that drives their truck up there, the little produce company, you know, the companies that don't have to provide all the infrastructure that a SYSCO provides. So this just gives you a little bit of an idea of how big SYSCO is, because these are just the top 10 distributors. We actually have 67 individual operating companies that have sales greater than companies on the top 50 list. So a lot of the companies you're going to be dealing with out there, I mean, there are small independents. And again, they can do some things for you that are absolutely tremendous. They can provide some services. They can provide some products, some unique products. I mean, even though we have 300 SKUs of water, we reach a limit on what items that we can actually inventory and market. So it's an interesting industry. It's extraordinarily fragmented, though. Big opportunities. I mean, and as aggressively and as big as we are, we still have growth objectives of achieving a minimum of a 10% sales growth year in and year out. Okay, so that at least gives you a little bit about, back here, a little bit about SYSCO and a little bit about the space that we operate in. Now let me talk a little bit about my journey, how I got to, first of all, from Baltimore to U of H, and then U of H to SYSCO, and a little bit about, you know, how I've developed my career over the last 27 years. And it's kind of interesting because when I talk about it, you know, and I'm very pleased and very proud to be with SYSCO and to reflect back over the journey I've had. I must also admit, it's not one of these journeys that I was incredibly thoughtful and strategic about what it is I wanted to do when I grew up and who it was I was going to work for. You know, the truth of the matter was, I grew up in Baltimore. I was the middle of 5 children, and I would say I lived a rather sheltered life. I lived an extraordinarily sheltered life. And during that period of time, my parents, I was raised with the philosophy, you want to make a little money, you want some spending money, well, chop, chop, go find some employment and go get it. You know, I wasn't one of these ones that somebody would hand me a $20 bill or anything like that. It was like, go get some work. So anyway, doing that in high school, one of my best friends, her dad owned a catering business. And the catering business was those little trucks that go to construction sites. So yeah, it was, talk about grubby work. My mother was extraordinarily concerned about what that was going to do to me, but I made out all right. But it was interesting because that kind of got me hooked into the food service industry. So when I was in high school, it was my junior, senior year, and my parents were pressuring me, well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And I really didn't know. And I thought, okay, well, food service, that kind of sounds interesting. It sounded sexy. It sounded like fun, and which didn't exactly thrill my parents, but they got me together with the high school counselor, and she basically said I had 2 options. She said I could either go to Cornell or I could go to University of Houston. And my mother and I went up to the Cornell campus, which is actually absolutely lovely. But the thing about the Cornell campus for me personally was it was a duplication of what I already had at Bryn Mawr. I mean, it was the kind of, I mean, they're fabulous educators. They do wonderful things in our industry. But for me, I was looking for something a little different. And then Mom and I came down here to Houston in 1976, and the deal was done. Because when I came here in '76, it was wild, wild west. It was cowboys, it was oil industry, it was entrepreneurs, and it was 2,000 miles away from Baltimore. So I figured the supervisory capacity of my parents was going to be extraordinarily limited. So that, in essence, is how I made it to University of Houston, which, to be honest, I couldn't be more thankful for, because one of the things that I was looking for was the ability to work in our industry. Because, you know, so many people graduate from college and they're like, okay, I hate my career. I hate what it is I've just studied 4 years to kind of launch off to. And for me, it was real important to have that opportunity to work in our industry. For me, was incredibly invaluable, because what I learned was that the hospitality industry is a phenomenal industry. On the other side of the coin, one of the things that I personally did not like about it was you were working when everybody else was playing. And that's kind of a fact of life in our industry. So that was a tremendously valuable experience for me. Well, anyway, I went through the University of Houston. I worked 3 of my 4 years. And some of you, I don't know what it is today, but the Satellite Center across campus, I used to be the night manager over there, so I stayed in Moody Tower dorms. And so I would, I took a full load, and for me it was all pocket money, so that when I graduated from college, I was very blessed because my parents paid for my education, but when I graduated from college, guess what? I could pay cash for a car. So I wasn't saddled with the expenses. So that's how I got through U of H, and then how did I get to SYSCO? Well, it was another not really strategic decision, but certainly one that has worked extraordinarily well for me. And that really is, in a nutshell, when I graduated from the university, I had a bunch of job offers, and they were all over the place. And none of them was in Dallas. And guess what was in Dallas? Well, close. Close. No, what was in Dallas was the love of my life. So, yeah, and so I was sitting there, and I'll never forget this on the phone. I called up my mother. No, my mother called me up. And bless her heart, she calls me up and she said, so which job are you going to take? And I said, they're just not sitting right with me. She goes, well, what do you mean they're not sitting right with you? And I said, I think I'm going to move to Dallas. And she knew Bill lived in Dallas. And then I get this silence. Your father and I did not spend 4 years of our time and money so that you could go to Dallas and live in sin. I said, Mom, I'm not, I said, that's not what this is all about. And what happened was she was extraordinarily upset with me, and she said, you better find a job. And my family, you better find a job, because they told us 4 years, that was it. I mean, there was not 4.5 years or 5 years, it was 4 years. And I was very blessed to have that, and I knew that. And so anyway, then I get the father phone call. By then I started thinking I better kind of get my act together here, and I bought from SYSCO. I had no earthly idea about the complexities of their business. So anyway, Dad's on the phone to me, and he's taking a little bit less emotional response than my mother took. So anyway, I said to him, Dad goes, what are you going to do? And I said, I don't know, Dad, but I know I can find a job. And he said, well, what do you think you're going to do, though? I said, well, there's this company I used to buy groceries from called SYSCO. Of course, he had never heard of them. I mean, back when I joined the company, we had just hit $1 billion of sales. And so anyway, he just kind of okay, and and he had met Bill before, so I think Bill was okay, but nevertheless, I wasn't going to be, doing whatever he thought I was going to do. So to make a long story short, I then was kind of committed to SYSCO, and so I don't know if you remember Ray Goodman. So I knew he had some kind of connection, so I picked up the phone. I said, hey, look. I said, I need some help here. Can you open a door at SYSCO? And to make a long story short, I was able to get on in sales at SYSCO's, and then the opportunities just kind of went from there. So it's been an interesting journey for me. For me, corporately, I work out of the corporate group, and I am crystal clear that we are overhead. Our operating companies remind us that every single day. I mean, they're the ones that generate the money. And I am extraordinarily not only sensitive to that, but appreciative to that. And I recognize the fact that everything my team, and my other colleagues out of the corporate office, our whole job is around supporting our distribution centers in being successful. So I've had, as I said, 27 years. I started off with our company in Dallas, and I worked for one of the toughest son of a guns that you will have ever in your entire life meet. As a matter of fact, we now have a club going within SYSCO called the I Survived Paul Toll Club. He used to be the president up there. I mean, it was something that it kind of beat it into you about, he hollered and screamed and cussed and everything else, but it was a fabulous experience. For me in SYSCO, you basically, well, it is. I mean, if you've worked in a restaurant, you also know about these chefs, and they're very emotional, and they've got the knives and everything else, and it's true, and I'm not sure our business is any tougher, but you get into some of the backs of our warehouses, and my friends, it's not a nice place. I mean, we've got a fabulous people, but when you think about it, you call up and you order product at 4 o'clock this afternoon, you expect it at your back door at 8, 9, or 10 o'clock tomorrow. you along with thousands of other customers. And there's a group called night shift employees that work. If you have any earthly idea of what it's like to work in a warehouse where you're quickly running around the warehouse on these pallet jacks, loading up orders that, by the way, not only need to be accurate, but you need to do it quickly, and most importantly, you needed to do it safely. So there's a lots of piece of our business that's not glamorous. One not very glamorous role in our business is our drivers. I just thank them every single day. We have 8,000 drivers across the United States, and going back to that picture of one of our trucks, if you can imagine what it's like every day to unload one of those puppy dogs. And then you drive around and you navigate through the streets of Houston, and then you deal in pouring rain, you deal in snow, you deal with sleet, and the bottom line, y'all as our customers really don't care. I mean, you just want the product there on time, in the right shape, the right product in the right quantities. So it's been a great career for me. I mean, it's been tremendous. I work with a lot of great people. Our former founder and CEO and chairman of the company, Mr. John Ball, just passed away a couple weeks ago. So it was founded by a group of entrepreneurs. There's still a bunch of entrepreneurs around. Many of them are retired, but assure me, an entrepreneur never retires. They always stay very closely connected in the business. So with that, what I'm going to do is kind of quickly move to some keys to success, and then I'll close up and then open up to whatever questions you might have. You know, I was trying to come up with something catchy on making keys to success, and the bottom line was my mind wouldn't work. So the three things I really want to focus on is, number one, love what you do. Life's too short. Two, pursue great companies. There's a lot of raunchy companies out there in all the industries, so pursue great companies. And the third one, which our industry is really sorry about, and I know I'm not a very good role model on, is balance your life. So let me talk about the first one, which is very important, is love what you do. You know, every job, every industry has got grunt work. I do it, y'all do it, everybody does it. But on the other side of the coin, we have to enjoy the vast majority of what we do on an ongoing basis. So whatever it is you choose to do, I would just encourage you to select something you absolutely love and are passionate about doing. That will beat everything hands down. If your number one thing you want to do is make a whole heck of a lot of money, there's only a couple ways you can do that. In our industry, at least legally do it in our industry. But be careful, be very clear about what it is you like to do, what it is you want to do. On a daily basis, what are your likes and what are your dislikes? And make sure you pursue a career that gives you more opportunity to spend the majority of your time focusing on those things that you love to do. Yeah, and be passionate about it. I mean, you know, and I know for me, that's kind of, you know, Greg, as you were saying, I'm kind of just an enthusiastic person. I mean, our former CEO told me that if I didn't have hands, I wouldn't be able to talk. But there's other ways that passion can manifest itself. You know, you see people sometime, and, you know, it's kind of like I got on the elevator the other day, and I swear, this woman must have come out of the birth canal pissed off. I mean, she's like this, and I'm like going, well, good morning, you know. I'm not trying to be Miss Cheery or anything, but she has this disposition that she's not walking in the building and she's like in a bad mood. And I don't know, you know, sometimes people have bad days, and I want to be careful of overgeneralizing there, but some of it goes back to people that are in dead-end jobs, they don't like it. If you don't like what you do, find something else. Life is way too short. And you know what? There's too much need for talent like y'all's. Have goals. I mean, you know, I want to be careful here to me because, like I said, I wish I could say I was real strategic and real smart about I want to be doing this, I want to be doing that, and you know what, that didn't necessarily happen with me, but I think it is important that you have clear goals around where it is you want to be approximately by when. But I caution that, and I throw it out because, to me, there's a difference between a destination versus a journey. I work with some men and women that they're so focused on the destination that they forget about the journey that will allow them to get to wherever it is they want to go. Because it's that journey, everything along the way, that's going to help you get there. So make sure there's some kind of a balance in there. And then this last one, it's kind of like one of my mottos. My team always hears me talking about it. But for me, it's like lead, follower, get out of the way. You know, if there's something that you can lead an initiative on, hey, take the flag, pick up the banner, and go for it. On the other side of the coin, in order to be a good leader, you also have to be a good follower. You know, so there's a followership piece of the puzzle there, too. Whatever it is you choose to do, there's times where you need to lead, and then there's times that you need to follow. You'll know when those times are. And then there's the other piece of the puzzle of getting out of the way. You know, sometimes we're that root guard, we're the blockers for an organization. And recognize if your behavior is causing the rest of the organization from advancing their cause. You know, I have to occasionally keep myself in balance because all of a sudden I'll see things, and I know, particularly at my level and with my experience base and with my network throughout SYSCO, people listen to what I say, and I've got to be very cognizant of if I make an inappropriate remark or a judgmental comment. And I got to be careful of making sure that I communicate it effectively to the right people rather than as a detriment to the organization. So me, part of loving what you do is lead, follow, or get out of the way. And there's times when we need to adjust our behavior to kind of support that. The next one is go for great companies. And you know, for my husband and I, this is particularly important because we have some very, very dear friends of ours that were both Enron victims. You know, and there's a lot of great companies in our industry, in the hospitality industry out there, and I'm sure there's a lot of not so great ones. And for me, one of the pieces, for me, a great company is first and foremost has got integrity. I mean, that you cannot buy. And you're associated with that. So for me, I mean, and you're going to have your own value systems, whatever that is, but I really encourage you as you're looking to, you know, move into the business world on a full-time basis, thoroughly explore the companies that you're interviewing with. Talk to people. Be clear upon what their value system is, because that's the culture within which you're going to operate. Know the kind of culture you like, need, and want. Seek a fit. That sounds kind of funny, but in our hiring systems, we look at two things. Can the person do the job? Will they do the job? Because sometimes we have people that can do the job, they just don't like doing it. You know, and that's okay, but you know what? They're not going to succeed at it. So figure out the kind of cultural fit. I mean, it's kind of like, it's interesting. You know, you've probably read about Google and Microsoft, and you hear about their employee culture, and I'm just absolutely amazed the benefits that they provide their employees and the flexibility and all that kind of stuff. Well, our industry, and my company in particular, does not have a profit model that allows us to do those kinds of things. However, it provides other benefits and a different type of culture. So as you think about and exploring, you know, different companies, I encourage you, talk with the men and women who already work there. So what's it like to work here? You know, what do you like about the culture? What don't you like about that culture? And make sure that's going to fit up with your interest and what you're passionate about. We talked about seeking reputable companies with integrity, contribute and show results. I guess that for me has been my key to success, is contribute and show results. Now, I'll be the first one to admit sometimes I've worked my butt off and sometimes nobody has seen the results. And I'll also have to admit that I look around at my colleagues and I'm going, wait a second here, I could do that. Why did they get that opportunity and not me? That's always going to happen in this world, but for me it also ties back to the company. You know, SYSCO has provided me tremendous opportunities, as the organizations you will join will also provide. But know that for most major businesses, it's all about producing a bottom line. That may sound cold, it may be harsh, but at the end of the day, our shareholders really don't care about anything else other than a bottom line. We were just talking at breakfast this morning. SYSCO had a 15% earnings per share increase in second quarter, which, by the way, is phenomenal, and the stock drops 2 points. You know, at the end of the day, if you're going to work for a publicly held company, even privately held company, I mean, sometimes it's nice to think that people are in it for, you know, altruistic type of behaviors, and, you know, they want to give back to the community, and there's a lot of things they can do. On the other side of the coin, profits is what churns everything else. That allows us to broaden our menu, it allows us to hire new people, it offers us the ability to hire a bunch of new people, create new roles, you know, offer new and different benefits. But it is about, you know, producing a bottom line. Communicate your needs. I always like, there's a wonderful book out there by Susan Scott called Fierce Conversations. And it really is about having those tough conversations with people and being able to articulate it in a way in which you're cautious of the emotional wake that you leave. And I think that, I know, has been something I personally have worked on, but when you're not getting something that you want, figure out a way to communicate it, and most importantly, communicate it in a non-threatening way. Because we supervisors, we leaders, we managers get a little nervous when people start hollering and screaming at us and using all sorts of cuss words. It just, you know, it's easier to engage in a conversation when we're talking even tone of voice. And then develop and grow and seek continuous improvement. I mean, there's tremendous opportunities there, and you know, we within our company do a lot to try to support people to develop themselves, to grow themselves. But I would also say the old line of, it is to be, it is up to me. I would certainly not wait for any organization to provide me, here's your developmental plan. Somebody came to me the other day and said to me, how come SYSCO doesn't have a formal mentoring network? And I said, because. You know, and that wasn't sufficient for him. So then he said, well, what do I need to do? How did you get ahead? And so we had a conversation about it. And the way I've always handled this, and I would encourage you to look at it, some companies do have formal mentoring networks and all sorts of things. Our company just doesn't choose to do this at this particular point in time. But what I find is most effective with or without, you know, mentoring networks is be clear on what it is you need. Seek out people who can help you get to where it is you want to go. People want to help you. And you have to kind of be the one that reaches out and says, hey, I need some help. I need a perspective. I need a point of view. I mean, I talked with a girlfriend of mine yesterday on the phone, and something happened, and the bottom line is she got done dirty. I mean, I would tell that to our CEO. I'm not going to, but I believe that strongly in it. And I had she called me and we had a great conversation. She's taken the high road. Okay, so guess what? I didn't get it. So I can sit here and wallow in my, you know, unhappiness, or I can take that and make the most of it. So she's now reaching out in a different environment, but there's tremendous organizations, whether it be NRA, I see a lot of women in the audience, WFF is a very powerful organization. You know, our executive women in SYSCO, and there's not a whole lot of us, quite honestly, but our ranks are growing, and we're very powerful and influential, at least we think we are. We do a lot to network, not only at WFF, but also within the SYSCO community. So what we try to do is reach down into the SYSCO ranks and help network and help mentor each other. It's not a formal process, but what we try to coach the other women in SYSCO is say, hey, it's in your hands, you take advantage of that. But again, go for great companies and seek out the developmental opportunities. Whoops. And this is the last one, and again, like I mentioned earlier, I'm probably not a really good role model for this one, but our industry is awful when it comes to quality of life. If you don't manage it, I promise you, your company will manage it for you. And life is far too short to let any business or organization actually take responsibility for balancing your life. And again, I have gotten feedback, Mary Beth, you're not very good at this. And I said, I know, but I'm working on it. But it's so very important. I mean, you know, a lot of our friends, my husband and our friends, you know, they are through the work environment. I mean, I've grown up with these guys. I mean, we all kind of came up the career ranks together, so we do a lot of socialization within SYSCO. A lot of our networks are within our neighborhoods, friends, a lot of them through our church community. But it's important that you learn to balance that, and I wish I could give you a keys to success, and all I can tell you is manage it, because the business organization will manage it for you. And sometimes what ends up happening, and I don't know how it is for you, but the more hours I work, I mean, what I find is, and I can work 50, 60, 70 hours like the best of them, but over time, that has a significant impact on my effectiveness. Period, end of discussion. Take responsibility for that. So whether it be your work, your family, my husband and I mean, for all practical purposes, our family's not here. We've got a sister here in town, but you know, we get the family together and we say, hey, let's go to Jackson Hole. We'll rent a house and all the family comes together, and we'll do things to try to network, not only with our families, but also our friend community. You know, church community, getting involved in the church, and somehow Bill and I just joined a new church, which has given us tremendous opportunities to give back. We've been very fortunate, very blessed. And when you are blessed and you have been given so much, it is nice to hear about how people can give back to the community and to help, you know, provide opportunities for others. And then, of course, friends. I mean, we've got some extraordinarily dear friends that I so value those relationships. But you know, if you don't nurture those relationships, they go away. Just a couple weekends ago, I got together with some of my college girlfriends. They weren't members of the Hotel and Restaurant Management College, but we three had not been collectively together in literally 27 years. We had seen each other separately, we had had phone calls, the Christmas cards, the family pictures, and blah, 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 blah. Literally, when the third one walked in the door, you would have thought we were back in the dorms. It was like 3 milliseconds, and I so value and appreciate that balance in your life. So I'd encourage you, one key to success is just kind of balancing your life and taking responsibility for it, because our industry is pretty awful as far as encouraging balancing in the life. So the last thing I'm going to do before, and then I'm going to move into any questions, is I just want to close with wishing you each much success. You know, I don't know what your definition of success is, and I think there's lots of definitions out there, and for some people it's having X amount of money in the bank, and for others it's achieving certain titles in, you know, and whatever it might be. But Ralph Waldo Emerson, for me, kind of summed up, I think, success in a rather unique and effective way. So as you're launching your full-time careers in our industry, I kind of want to share this with you and kind of wish you much success. And what Ralph Waldo Emerson says is he defines success as to laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to leave the world just a little bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition, to know that one life has breathed easier because you have lived, that is to have succeeded. So with that, that's the wish I leave you with, is I wish you all much success. So, thank you. So, at this point, do we have just a couple minutes for questions? Anything I can respond to? Yes?
You mentioned earlier that U.S. Foods just having some problems with a lot of experience in buyout near future. Do you foresee SYSCO maybe putting a bid in on that and maybe anyone else, competitors or anyone else company?
That's a great question, and I'm called an insider. So I'm extraordinarily limited as to what I can say and what I can't say. But let me also tell you, the way I could best respond to that is we're already in every market they're in. So as far as helping us geographically, you know. Yeah, it was a good question. Yeah. Anything else? Yes, sir.
You mentioned earlier how SYSCO sees its greatest competitor as the small property, mom and pop. How does SYSCO hold ethical responsibility to the concept of creating profit while not destroying the business that's known as the small local business?
Well, I guess when you have 15% of the market, you know, it's kind of hard to think that you really own and dominate the market. When you look at the statistics, we clearly dominate the market. But there's so many other people out there. And to be honest, I still think there's going to be niches we can't fill. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but, you know, I know we're heart healthy over here, but give me some really good foie gras. And you know what? We're not going to be able to inventory foie gras. So there's going to be niches out there that we can't service. I think the other thing that we do is we try to give back to the community. Share our strength. That's one of our largest charitable donations. We have a team out of the corporate office called the We Care Committee, and it's, you know, grassroots volunteer efforts. I happen to lead our efforts with the food bank. So we go over to the food bank. We participated in that big Super Bowl of giving on collecting food. So, I mean, for us, I think those independents are always going to be out there. You know, we don't have a kill 'em kind of attitude. We just have a, we're going to go get the sales because we earned it, and we're going to take care of our customers, and our customers are going to want to do business with us. And then we try to give back to the community, you know, as best as we can, not only corporately, but also through our times and our talents. Anything else? Whoops, one more question.
What do you do to try to minimize turnover in this turnover-prone?
Oh, that is a fabulous question. That's one of my responsibilities, and trust me, my friend, it is not easy. It is not easy. For us to hire, train, and develop a salesperson costs us about $75,000 to $100,000. Our turnover in the first 3 years is not very good. We've had an initiative that we've been working on, I've been responsible for almost 10 years, and we've improved our retention of our sales force over 10 points. 8,000, I mean, literally, we had turnover about 1,400 MAs a year, so you do the math, and you're talking millions and millions and millions of dollars. So what we've done is, number one, be smart about who we hire. We spend as much time getting them to interview us as we get to interview them, making sure they know exactly what they're getting involved in. Then 2, training and development. Then 3, compensation. I've been involved with a project where we had significant change on our compensation, which moving from 100% commission to salary plus bonus, and it's been like earth-shatteringly, people resistant to it, but that's what the market demands. We're starting to try to address the quality of life issues, but that's another issue for us. Training and development, career development opportunities. So we look at all of that kind of stuff, but you know, if you don't get the right people on the bus and you don't get them in the right position, they're going to be unhappy and they're going to turn over. So we try to make sure we take care of the employee once they're there. And there's some pretty tough jobs that we have that, I mean, there's got to be a life cycle of doing that kind of work. It's extraordinarily difficult and very important to us. Okay, turn it back over to you. Thank you.
If you'll all just be patient, just a couple more things, but I thank you very much, Mary Beth. An extraordinary cowgirl there, don't you think? And I'd like to introduce the cowboy. He hasn't been introduced, Mr. Bill Moehring. Would you please stand? Now you can see why she went to Dallas. A couple of things. Mary Beth, would you please come up? Traditionally, we provide a memento for the Eric Hilton Distinguished Chair Lecturer, and indeed we have a memento for you.
Cool.
It's the Conrad Eaton College, University of Houston, Mary Beth Moehring, Eric Hilton Chair, Distinguished Lecture Series, March 29, 2007, signed by the Dean of our college, John Bowen, and yours truly. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Why don't you walk over here?
Oh.
This is she's in training. You know, she does a lot of training, and she's probably done this before. This is sort of a trust situation.
Okay, it's the closeness thing. I'm like, ooh.
And I'll tell you when, but just trust me.
Okay.
Just trust me. Back up just a little bit. Now sit down. Don't walk. This is also for you.
Oh.
I would also like to thank everyone for coming. We greatly appreciate it, and have a great day. And don't forget this afternoon, 2 to 3:30 in Barron's. Thank you.
Great job.